Hi guys and welcome to Bomb Anime.
It's your girl Ruka.
And Big Boy Summer here. Solo Leveling, episode 12, finale.
This episode picked up where we left off in the job change quest. Things were going from bad to worse. Obviously it left off on a cliffhanger last week, but when we picked it up, the nights are just increasing. He is tired, weakening, and the strength of these nights are not decreasing whatsoever. During this whole thing, we end up seeing another version of him talking to himself, saying how weak he is, how crap he is, and not only that, but we hear from other people that he knows talking negatively about him as well, saying how he's no good. And you can see it starts to whittle down his belief in himself.
Yeah, not only does it whittle down his belief in himself, it's for the first time in a few episodes that we actually see him have the internalized self-deprecating thoughts, and we actually finally get to visualize it in forms of like anthropomorphized beings on the screen in tandem with him fighting for his life. Now, I don't know if you feel the same way that I do, Ruka, but the way that it came across, I thought was a stroke of genius. You saw the anguish, but you saw during the negativity the fact that he was told he was rubbish, he was getting told that he's no good and he will always be an E-rank hunter. He was still fighting the whole way through. He was dodging, he was weaving, he was throwing punches. He is basically a cockroach that just wouldn't die, and I thought that it was great to see the juxtaposition between the two.
I don't actually agree with you here. Yes, he was still fighting, but it was whittling him down and he was giving in to the thoughts. He has a really low, at this point, mental defenses because he didn't once think, that's kind of weird that I'm seeing a hallucination of myself talking badly about myself. That's a bit weird that I'm seeing this during the fight. He almost started to give into it, and I really do believe that if he didn't get the penalty, he would have given into it and died because he was allowing the thoughts to bog him down more and more. He wasn't thinking about the fight and how he could survive. It almost was like muscle memory that he was able to dodge and move out of the way because of his battle experiences, because of all the things that he's done in these dungeons so far. He just knows how to dodge and weave. And again, like he said multiple times, he felt like these fights were fights he'd already had. So he has kind of a leg up, if you will, on the way that these fights are going to go, the way that he needs to move to survive. So I really do think that what was happening here was really working on him.
I get where you're coming from, and I do see some things in what you're saying. However, I am not one to say that, yeah, of course he wasn't bogged down. The negativity wasn't getting to him. But what I'm saying is that he still had the tenacity to carry on moving. Yeah, even if you're going through the motions, even if you're going through some hell, this was like art imitating what we go through every day as normal everyday people. It might not be fighting in the dungeon and a job change quest, no, but even though life is bogging us down and setbacks happen, you still trudge through it, and I thought that was inspiring, to be honest.
Okay, well, we'll disagree here because I didn't find him to be inspiring, although I did find him to be relatable.
Okay, we can go there.
Because, you know, going through the motions is not good enough in a situation where your life is on the line. You can't actually rely on going through the motions when it comes to something like that. Maybe you can go through the motions at your everyday job that you hate, or you can go through the motions of cleaning your house, but not when it comes to your life being on the line.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ruka. We should disagree on this one. Jinwoo got really lucky here. As Ruka said, bogged down throughout the whole negativity and the miasma of dealing with a billion knights that are just duppying him left, right and center. My guy Jinwoo always gets duppy in this anime, but he then gets a lucky break and is put into the penalty quest. Now, if you remember the first penalty quest, he couldn't attack these monsters. He spent the whole time running away from them. This time, he looked at them like they were a piece of meat. They were manna from heaven. They were water in a drought. He was ready to harvest. And throughout this penalty quest, he was killing all the worms. He was killing all the monsters. He was leveling up, and he was getting healed again because he leveled up. He was able to use the shop as well in order to get a new dagger, some potions, and basically get himself ready to kick some backside. And boy howdy did he.
This lifesaver is again why I feel like this was some sort of mental attack that he was under, and there was a more sinister element to the mental attack, because the moment that he got sent to the penalty quest, it's almost like the fog cleared and he immediately changed the way that his brain was going. If what was happening in the job change quest was really his real feelings, it shouldn't have just changed like that just because he was in a different environment.
I don't know, Ruka. Like, because if you think of it this way, in life, things happen moment to moment, don't they? So when time passes, 1 minute it was this situation, next minute it was that situation. I mean, like, how many times have you had a really rubbish day and then you've gone home and had some nice piece of food and then your whole mood changes? I mean, he was out in the sun, innit? He went from a dingy, danky place to the sunlight. I mean, like, anything can change your mood.
He went from a dingy, dark place to the sunlight. He went from one fight for your life situation to another. Please. Anyway, we're just going to disagree here again. I feel like there was a more sinister element to what was going on. That's why he was having the hallucinations, and people that are close to him and that he respects and cares about were the people that were saying the most horrible things about him and his personality. And it was kind of like they were digging at the old him. Yes, I agree, he maybe has some of those insecurities still inside of him.
Of course.
However, the way that it was, just to me, just seems a little bit off. And why do the hallucinations and say the negative things if it's going to have no impact? But whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, he goes to this penalty quest, and you are right, he is fighting them. He takes it as an opportunity. Whereas before, what I really like about this is because before, he didn't see it as an opportunity. He was screaming things like, how am I supposed to survive this? Which, to be fair, he was right.
Yeah,
He was right. You know, he's like, how am I supposed to survive this? How could this be happening to me? Just, woe is me. I'm with him on that one. But on this time, he's like, this is an opportunity. I can use them to level up. Thank goodness that they're here. I can level up so that when I have to go back, I'm going to be stronger than I was. I'm going to be able to put in more effort. So this penalty quest really saved his life because he needed the levels to even survive it. So it almost feels like this job change quest is a quest that he was never supposed to survive.
I agree that, yeah, this job change quest was dark. Because, like, let's look back at the job change quest to the pre-test, to the test itself, right? So the pre-test, he's already fighting random things he's not used to, but he adapts. Then he's fighting Igris. We all saw what Igris did to my man, innit? He got duppied left, right and centre, and his clocks got cleaned the whole way through. Okay, but he overcame. Then he ended up in an endless sea of knights that just wouldn't stop coming. And every time he tried to turn invisible, guess what happens? No more invisibility. You're gonna get seen and you're gonna get duppied. So yeah, I get it. It wasn't ideal. However, I will just argue, when he went to the penalty quest, he had less health than he had when he started the job change quest. Like, very, very little health. And yet, he brightened up and looked at it and said, right, I'm going to eat here. And he ate. Now, it's true what they say, if you change your perspective, you change your life. But what I'm saying is that I kind of feel like how Ruka says he wasn't supposed to survive the job change quest, he wasn't supposed to survive the penalty quest either. He went out of one life risking thing to another. They were both just as bad.
No.
Yes.
No, not even close.
Yes.
Not
His
even
health
close.
alone is the reason why. You can't have any potions and he's facing really huge monsters constantly. But he took it on the chin and he did a thing.
Okay, we're disagreeing again because I do not think it was on the same level at all, even with the handicaps that he was given. I even think that the handicaps are okay for him to have, even if this was on a normal situation, because of how much stronger he's gotten from the first time. The penalty quest doesn't seem to change. If you get into that penalty zone, it's the same thing regardless. So he's already fought it before. He should be able to do a monster of that level easily. We've seen him do it multiple times with his bare hands inside of dungeons. He should not have had any trouble with it, and he didn't.
Yeah, but he had no health though.
And on top of that, he could have ran because he was able to do it in his weakened state when he had no stamina, no muscles, no anything. And he managed to run for 4 hours away from them, meaning that they can't even be that fast.
With full
if
health.
he's normal. Yeah, but he just ran. And he didn't get caught, he didn't get nyam. So he was fine. He wasn't really under any real death unless he decided to fight.
Fair enough. I guess this is one of those episodes like back in the day where we don't agree with each other in it. Guys, I know you're enjoying this episode, but I know a lot of you aren't actually subscribed. So all you gotta do is just press the subscribe button. It's right there. Don't forget to ding that bell. Jeju Island is the island which Korea lost to the monsters, the ants to be specific, and they sent an expedition force to go and do some reconnaissance to find out what the situation was on Jeju Island. And they realized that the ants have evolved and have wings, which is a very scary concept, because if you've ever been summertime in England and seen the flying ants, and I'm sure it's probably the same where you are, they're very little and they're not approachable or nice, and some people are scared of them. So imagine if they are the size of a human being if they stood on their legs. That's the kind of monsters that are now sprouting wings, and that's what the reconnaissance mission found out.
I think the danger here is the fact that because they have wings, they're no longer necessarily stuck on the island. I think that the only thing really saving other people is the fact that because it was on an island and it's surrounded by water, the ants couldn't really move around. But now they're evolving, and as we saw on the first episode, they were very hard to kill for almost any hunter. They had to send their top people to even go in there, and even with the top people, they didn't get rid of the situation.
Nope.
They just kind of saved whoever still had body parts and got the frick out of Dodge.
Listen.
So now that they're actually evolving, this is a really bad issue, and we can tell that it's a bad issue because there's been so much foreshadowing throughout the entire anime series where they keep talking about this island and sending their top hunters to the area.
Look, I'm gonna say this, and I think this is the one thing that Rick and I are gonna agree on this episode. We saw the first 25 seconds, them ants running amok all over these hunters. You had the S-class hunters and you had normal Dega hunters all around the place getting completely savaged and ravaged. Now, that is absolutely terrifying, and you can actually see the terror in the anime. I do like the art style of the anime, by the way, because of this. Like, the emotions are really conveyed by the art style.
Just as a quick side note, we have been seeing Jinwoo's sister walking around for like the whole anime, and in this episode I just felt so bad for her. She doesn't really socialize. The only thing that she does is go to school, go home, and go to the hospital to stay with her mom. Her only, let's just call him a parent, because I know he's her sibling, but he has the father role. He is the one that goes to her school when a parent needs to stand in for her. He's the one that makes sure that there's food in the house. He's the one that pays the bills. So he's her parent figure now, and he's not been around, and you can just see that it's really taking a toll on her. She feels really alone and isolated. I felt so bad for her in this episode.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't give it a second thought. I did not care about Jinwoo's sister at all this whole season, to be fair. I just thought, oh, this is the character that they're gonna use to explain everything. Alright, cool, whatever. Like, can we get to the fight, please?
The system says that he can have these new powers because of his job change quest, but doesn't actually give him a choice, doesn't give him any options, only gives him one possibility, and it's a yes or a no. For one, like, at least pretend, system. Like, can we pretend that he has some options?
He did have options. Yes or no? Did you pick no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? That was his options, and he picked.
Now, again, This is why I really just think this job change quest, it wasn't really for him to live whatsoever, because he gets an option of being a necromancer and he gets to have a shadow army. However, throughout the whole anime, we've seen the presence of these shadows anyway.
Yep.
Multiple times. We've seen this sinister element. So I would go as far as to say he had this anyway, and regardless of whether he even picked no, it would have still happened just later down the line. Because it's already, people have even mentioned it, the assassin that he was fighting, Taesuk?
Yeah,
Taeshik even said, like, the shadows behind you. We've seen the presence of them multiple times, and this dark element. So the system is just playing games at this point, just laughing in his face. However, it was so sick the way they did it, the way he made all of the shadow puppets rise up from the dead and become his shadow army. It was amazing.
Okay, Ruka's right. There was no chaser. Look at it this way. When he had the choice of yes or no and he picked no, System was, are you sure? Right? When he picked no. When he picked yes, System didn't hesitate. Well, okay, here's your job. I kind of feel like he wasn't supposed to pass his job change quest because he killed everything. And the system was like, I actually need to calculate what score you're going to get here.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I've been to interviews when I'm going for a job and they say yes or no. There's no scores to calculate here. Do you have the job? Yes or no, right?
Yeah, and how is him getting the shadows based on his performance here? It would make more sense if it was his performance since he reawakened.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was calculating that would make more sense. But calculating from his
said.
battles, but no, it's from here. Yet the system is what set this in motion. So he even said it himself. It didn't really feel like a choice. He said it, and we believe it.
Yeah, it wasn't a choice. Like, come on. You're calculating how well I did on this job change quest that you have the answers to, Sway. You've got all the answers, Sway. Like, do you get what I mean? It made no sense. Why are you calculating when you know whether I'm going to have the job or not? Why are you dissuading me from picking no? And when I pick yes, you're telling me I am basically the shadow monarch.
What does no mean? If he picked no, what would that have meant? Because it's a job change quest.
Yeah.
Meaning there should be another option that he picks, or would he have to do the quest again?
What other job was there? Also, if you look throughout the whole anime so far, at what point did it scream necromancer to you? He's been punching up people, he's been fighting people, he's turned invisible a couple of times, and he's raided dungeons by himself. Which bit screamed, you know what, necromancer?
He already said it as well. He said the way that he has been putting his stats, it kind of seems like he should be an assassin.
Yeah. I could go invisible, I could move forward, and I fight in close combat.
And I have an assassin skill.
Like, where do you see necromancer here? You do not.
He has stealth. It just makes no sense.
But the system said, nah fam, you're gonna be the shadow monarch. That is it. You've proven yourself. Oh wait.
But we love it. We love it.
And I totally agree. The shadows look sick. Look, I've read this. It's not a secret, and I wanted to know what the representation on the screen would look like for these shadows. These shadows outdid my imagination. They were beautiful, and I'm sorry, I'm in love with these shadows.
Steady on.
I sit for the shadows in it. This was fantastic. The last shadow that he obtains. It's the guy that gave him the most amount of work in this whole job change quest. The guy that put him to the test, beat him black and blue. We saw the fight. You guys saw the fight. He did 2 attempts. On Igris basically said, nah bro, I'm not coming. And on the third one, it was like, bro, why are you languishing here? Protecting the empty throne. Come follow me, bro. And Igris was like, yeah, I'm down, dog. And now you saw the best shadow, the guy with the red name, the guy with the cape, coming in like a badass, standing in front of the rest of the army, kneeling in front of his king, and knowing full well that it's about to go down.
If you haven't already watched it, watch it, because the way that Big Boy Sama just said the speech is a bastardization. So do yourself a favor.
What?
The way that they actually handled this whole thing was really nice. It made me feel like they loved the light novel, they read it, and they wanted to make this the moment that it was.
Yes.
They made his 2 failures, because obviously he only has 3 chances of obtaining a shadow. And obviously Ikaris was more intense than the others. The others all came all at once, but they weren't really feeling beings. Ikaris clearly had an attachment to where he was, and Jinwoo just made him realize that even though he would be a shadow, he would still be at least moving forward instead of being stagnant, instead of lamenting his past and what never was. It was just great, and choosing to follow Jinwoo clearly means a lot to Ikaris as well. Even though he's long dead and he's just a shadow now, I really like that the way that they made us see that he still has feelings. It was handled so nicely. I really loved this moment. It was my favorite moment in this whole season, actually.
I actually have to second that with Ruka. I definitely 100% agree. I even like the fact that they intertwined the whole moment with the speech from Gong Hui Ko, speaking about what he needs from his hunters in order to move forward in
yes.
this thing.
Yeah, that was so nicely done.
It was such a touch of class. And I thought it was a brilliant piece of writing and storytelling, and they handled it perfectly.
Rating?
10 out of 10. I don't need to say anymore. I think I've spoken enough. You've seen the whole anime. You know what it's about. 10 out of 10.
It is also a 10 out of 10 for me. They ended this on such a great high note. I loved it. It's a 10.
Also, by the way, guys, season 2 has been confirmed. I can't wait, can you? First of all, thank you so much for watching our episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's Bomb Anime Insta. Peace.